I'm delighted to have this opportunity to address you this morning. I want first to join with the Lord Mayor in welcoming the Amsterdam delegation to Dublin. I also want to welcome the elected members of the City Council who are with us this morning, as well as representatives of a wide range of organisations, including government departments, statutory agencies, academic institutions, consultants, NGOs, other local authority staff, and last, but by no means least, staff from across the City Council. You're all very welcome, and thank you for giving up your time to be with us. The agenda for the next few days gives us an opportunity to look in detail at a wide range of factors that will influence the development of cycling over the years ahead. We will take stock of where we are and where we want to be in terms of cycling provision. We will consider how we design our cycle schemes, how we engage with our citizens in relation to cycling and cycling infrastructure, how cycling is reported in the media and the messaging around cycling, how can we mainstream cycling, and the impact of cycling on business. Above all, this symposium gives us an opportunity to learn from the experience of the City of Amsterdam, and we are fortunate indeed to have Amsterdam as a mentor city to guide us in our deliberations and to assist Dublin in developing and promoting a pro-cycling culture. We look forward to benefiting from this unique learning opportunity under the auspices, as the Lord Mayor said, of the Civitas Handshake project. Now, Dublin is a relatively flat city with a very moderate climate, which lends itself to being a natural cycling city. However, Dublin, like many cities, has in the past privatised car traffic over people. The pursuit of a low-density development model, at least until recently, has also made the provision of good quality and easily accessed public transport difficult. While this strengthens the case for the cycling and walking modes of transport, the reality is that the private car has and continues to be the preferred choice of too many residents for too many journeys. In addition, Dublin motorists are proving a very resilient group with a remarkable capacity to endure long and variable journey times as they continue to travel by private car. I was appointed as Director of Traffic in 1997, and in a fit of youthful enthusiasm, I declared private car commuting traffic as a sunset industry. All I can say is that it's been a gloriously prolonged sunset. And apologies to those who've heard that joke before. The current draft city development plan, which will guide the development of the city over the period to 2028, has been prepared against a background of significant challenges facing Dublin. These include the impacts of the COVID pandemic, including the growth in hybrid remote working and the increased pressure on physical retail activity, uncertainty regarding the longer-term fallout from Brexit, and acute difficulties with the Irish housing market. However, probably the greatest challenge we face as a society is the urgent need to address climate change. The draft development plan seeks to ensure, as far as possible, that the city develops in an inclusive way which will improve the quality of life for all and thereby ensure that Dublin remains an attractive place where people will continue to want to live, to work and to visit. A key objective of the plan is to develop a city that is low carbon, sustainable and climate resilient. Accelerating the switch to sustainable modes of travel has a huge role to play in decarbonising transport in Dublin. In addition to its carbon reduction benefits, a switch to cycling will deliver improved air quality, reduced congestion, safer spaces in the city and in our villages, which will benefit residents of all ages and enable more social interactions, leading to increased welfare, and other physical and mental health benefits. Now, the City Council has been in business of promoting and facilitating sustainable travel for over 2 decades. We have made positive strides, especially over recent years, in relation to cycling infrastructure provision, with the installation of the Grand Canal Cycleway, the Royal Canal Cycle Route, the Interim Liffey Cycle Route, and over 20 kilometres of cycle lanes in the city, either newly installed or with protection added since the onset of COVID. And the construction beginning next week on the Clontarf to City Centre route. Our cycling numbers almost tripled between 2006 and 2019, albeit from a very low base. Unfortunately, COVID has seen a decline in cycling numbers over the past 2 years. The target of the new draft city development plan is to increase the cycling share of all trips in the morning peak period to 13% by 2028. There should be no doubt that this is a challenging target. If we are to succeed in meeting our targets for decarbonising transport and for growing the cycling mode share, and if we are to deliver an attractive vision, or deliver the attractive vision for the city set out in the draft development plan, we will need to challenge social norms and accepted travel behaviours as never before. In particular, we will need to intensify our efforts to make cycling a much more attractive option to a much wider range of citizens. In terms of physical infrastructure, this means that the routes taken by cyclists will have to be safe, protected, direct, coherent, attractive and comfortable. In order to do this, it seems to me that the best, and indeed the only option, in the absence of road pricing, is to aggressively restrict the road space available to general traffic by reallocating this space to provide improved cycling and pedestrian facilities, and especially protected cycling facilities. Essentially, this involves a continuation and acceleration of the policies pursued successfully during COVID. Pre-COVID, unprotected cycle facilities were installed in the City Council, or by the City Council, where they could be fitted in without taking significant space from general traffic. In economic terms, this could be seen as pursuing a Pareto optimal approach to cycling infrastructure provision. A Pareto optimal change is one that leaves at least one group better off and no group worse off. There has, and indeed continues to be, widespread public and political support for the installation of new cycling infrastructure that improves the lots of cyclists, provided it does not have an undue adverse impact on motorists, either in the form of reduced access to road space or reduced on-street parking opportunities. However, the political and public consensus breaks down when general traffic and private motorists are seen to lose out to facilitate the provision of improved cycling infrastructure. Unfortunately, the scope for Pareto optimal sustainable transport interventions in Dublin is very limited. The provision of high-quality cycling network will require significant reallocation of road space from general traffic to cycling and a significant reduction in on-street car parking provision. The reality is that many residents and businesses will believe, with considerable justification, that they will be worse off as a consequence of cycling infrastructure measures. And despite the growth in general support for cycling, this is going to be a very challenging proposition. And in this regard, I was delighted to see that we have a dedicated councillor session as part of the symposium agenda, which will focus on engaging the city. Our elected members represent our citizens, and they will play a key role in bringing citizens with us, or not with us as the case may be, on the difficult transitional journey to a more sustainable cycle and pedestrian-friendly city. They are very much in the front line when it comes to the delivery of improved cycling infrastructure, and very exposed to the residents and businesses who perceive, quite correctly in many cases, that they would be worse off as a result of proposed cycling infrastructure measures. And I think our elected members deserve huge support in the task that's ahead of them if we're to achieve our objectives. Notwithstanding the scale of the challenges we face, there are, I believe, considerable grounds for optimism. Very generous funding has been put in place by central government through the NTA to cover the cost of new cycling infrastructure provision. Funding has also been made available to cover the council staffing costs over an extended period. We now have a fully funded active travel unit dedicated to the development of improved cycling and pedestrian facilities. And in this regard, I just want to congratulate Andy Walsh on his recent appointment as Director of the Active Travel Unit, and to wish him well in his new position. Development in cycling technology, including e-bikes and cargo people carrier bikes, have made cycling more accessible and suitable for more journeys than ever before. The impact of the COVID lockdown in depressing general traffic has had a number of very positive impacts. First, it allowed the City Council to reallocate road space to pedestrians and cyclists while traffic volumes were at historically low levels. Notwithstanding the recovery in traffic volumes post-COVID, these pedestrian and cycling facilities have not been reversed. And what I find particularly interesting and encouraging, that I've seen little demand to reverse these measures. Protected cycleways were installed during COVID on a scale never previously contemplated. Existing road space was simply reallocated to accommodate these cycleways. This has avoided the need for major and expensive civil engineering works, complex planning procedures and extensive public consultation, all factors that have delayed the rollout of cycling infrastructure in the past. During the extended COVID lockdown, residents had the opportunity to appreciate, for the first time in decades, the considerable benefits of a low-traffic city. And in addition, the prolonged closure of pubs and restaurants, in particular, drove a huge increase in outdoor dining. And this created public enthusiasm for the benefits of a low-traffic environment to be sustained. Remote working and the growth in online sales, both of which are likely to remain post-COVID, have reduced the overall demand for travel, which in turn facilitates the reallocation of road space. And finally, global warming and the need for carbon reduction, including decarbonisation of transport, have engaged the public like few other public policy issues. I want to conclude by saying that these are exciting times to be involved in cycling provision in Dublin. There are real challenges and real opportunities ahead, and events such as this symposium will, I believe, and I'm convinced, will help ensure that we rise to these challenges and grasp these opportunities.